Hello, Audit the Vote PA. This is Tony Shoup. Wanted to give you guys an update. I know I promised this video all week. We were going to update everybody on our meeting on Wednesday in Harrisburg with Senator Argall. I had done some Facebook Lives and we were on our way home from Harrisburg, but wanted to put something together that was just a little bit more a few days after the meeting that we had and give you the as current as we know it right now that we're able to disclose as far as what's going on. So we did go meet with Senator Dave Argall on Wednesday in Harrisburg at 2 p.m. He is the chair of the State Senate Government Committee, and he has all the power to just make a motion for a forensic audit of the 2020 election. It needs voted on by that committee. If they get a 5-4 vote, then they can start issuing subpoenas to whatever counties they think is necessary to audit. So he holds all the cards, and we had a meeting with him to try to persuade him in that direction, since most of, or I should say, I don't know if I could say all, but a very large number of constituents in the state of Pennsylvania are insistent on a full forensic audit, because if they've seen all the data that we've been presenting over the last several weeks and months, it is very obvious that something went awry, not even just in our state, but countrywide. But definitely the one thing that we can control is Pennsylvania. So that's what we're requesting. I found it kind of interesting that Senator Argall, we walked into his office and thankfully we were able to get the meeting because we kind of combined forces with some other patriot groups, the Pennsylvania Coalition for Election Integrity, great people that had already had a meeting with Senator Argall at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, and we somehow connected with them prior to the meeting, and they offered to let us kind of crash it with them so that we were basically going to talk about the same things together. But what was neat about that is they had some of Senator Argall's constituents with them in the meeting, and legislators are way more likely to listen when they know that people that can actually affect their position are sitting around their table versus just regular PA citizens that don't affect their election or re-election. So we sat around a conference table. We met with Senator Argall's executive assistant first, or I think he was actually the executive assistant for the State Government Committee, Senate State Government Committee. And when Senator Argall, came into the room, it's this big fancy office with fireplaces a fireplace and chandeliers and, real wood, beautiful conference table, and just all the trappings of just fancy, it was crazy. This office was so nice on the inside. And when he walks in his cufflinks and his suit and looking ever so, cleaned up, he sat down at the table, started to talk, and stared directly at the table. I was expecting him to come into the room and introduce himself, or maybe not introduce himself, but kind of maybe want to shake somebody's hand at the table and say, nice to meet you. Your name is, and at least look at everybody in the eye around the table. And instead he sat down and stared right at the desk and talked for a good 5 or 10 minutes like this. Just blew my mind that he would not look us in the eye until we started interacting and asking questions. And then he finally gave us eye contact and looked us directly in the eye, but it felt like a little bit of a fight. So I think it's crazy that a state senator doesn't have the confidence in himself to sit around a table of some of his constituents and actually look them in the eye. That was the first thing that caught me off guard, and something not right here. So the more we started talking, we found out that I believe I actually led off with a question asking him, so where are we in terms of moving forward with a forensic audit? We noticed you put a press release out this past week saying that you are in favor of it. And we just wanted to talk to you about where we are in the process of moving forward, because this is something that is not going away and we definitely want done. And he said, well, we're working on it. We'll hopefully have some good news for you within the next week or 2 weeks. Well, for Karen and I and Jamie, who was not able to come with us, but was there in spirit and helped us put a lot of the talking points together about the meeting, that isn't quite good enough. We have been waiting for 7 months now, and we've been getting excuses at every turn, and there's absolutely no reason why he can't move forward with an audit, make a motion for an audit, although he said they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's. When I pressed him some more with questions and said, well, what is, if you don't mind me asking, what is the holdup? Why are we waiting? We're dotting our I's, we're crossing our T's. We are making sure that we are running this through the right committee, and we're checking with the lawyers because we don't want the State Department to shut us down or to file something with the courts that would be able to stop this or block this. So we have a couple of things to wrap up before we really go into full-blown motion with this. And so we continued to ask questions and said, well, what other committees are you looking at? Like, let's talk this out. As we understand it, there are only 3 or 4 committees that this makes sense to put something like this through. So tell us, what are you looking at? And he said, well, I can't tell you that because I would upset some of my colleagues if I were to tell you what other committees we're looking at. Okay. I tried in a roundabout way every time the conversation went in another direction, which was clearly his goal. He would change the subject. I tried to ask another question and get it back to that, but I could not get a specific answer on what other committees they're considering, why his committee is maybe not the best one, and all the other stuff that we threw out at him. He could not give us an answer for. I also asked him, I think this is kind of important. He was sitting right next to Senator Mastriano on November 25th in Gettysburg at the hearing they had with all the witnesses. That was basically right after the election, when something could have still been done to prevent the certification of what I believe is a fraudulent set of electors from Pennsylvania. Why was more not done? What happened after the 25th? Why was something not done between then and January 6th? And he did look me straight in the eye at that point and say, evidence, lack of evidence. Really? If I recall, Colonel Waldron, who is a cybersecurity expert, ex-military, was there testifying. We had plenty of eyewitnesses. Leah Hoops, who many of you already know, who has actually a lawsuit now going with her Board of Elections for the shenanigans that she witnessed, that everybody just wants to sweep under the rug. I believe we had, I don't know if the postal worker Jesse Morgan was at that interview in Gettysburg or not, but I think we had more than enough evidence back then. We definitely have more than enough evidence now. And I just think that's a lame excuse. We didn't have enough evidence to do something to stop it. Well, then you should have stopped and examined to gather it, because now we have an overwhelming amount of evidence. There's an illegitimate president in the White House. Not good, people. Pennsylvania contributed 20 electoral votes to illegitimate Joe. This is not pretty, and it is not going away. So we asked a million other questions of trying to decipher maybe what direction he was going or what he was thinking, or how best we as the people could work with them and help them, because that was ultimately plan A, was how can we work together with our legislators to help them move forward and fix our election system so that we never end up in this situation ever again. And I know that they've had hearings about the election, the 2020 election, but all they've really looked at is process and procedures. They haven't looked at any of their irregularities. We have no idea why 300,000 registrants were removed after November 3rd. Before February the 1st, there were over 300,000 voter registrations that were removed from the SURE system. Why did they scrub the database? The Pennsylvania Electronic Voter Roll database was scrubbed at the end of December. They paid another company $10 million to rebuild it. And then several months after that, or maybe not several months, I don't know the time frame, but shortly after they paid that new company, Mark Zuckerberg and his cohorts ended up buying up that company. So Mark Zuckerberg technically still owns our electronic voter roll database. We don't know why third-party organizations were allowed access to the Pennsylvania electronic voter roll database. We still don't know why 15,000 mail-in ballots that were sent out of state were allowed to be counted in the election, even though we have done small canvassing efforts have shown that 90% of those ballots are fraudulent, meaning the registered voter who is on the ballot that supposedly cast that ballot does not live at the address where they are registered in Pennsylvania, and they have not lived there for a long time. Tons of questions that have gone unanswered. All the reasons why we're insisting on a forensic audit. And it's so funny to me that the media, we've actually gotten some media coverage through this, which was somewhat fair, more fair than I was expecting, other than calling us our claims for an audit baseless and trying to discredit this whole idea of an audit. They gave a pretty good, truthful explanation of what our meeting was all about on Wednesday with Senator Argall. However, they conveniently refused to print the numbered irregularities, the stack of data that I left with Senator Argall on Wednesday. They refused to print or talk about any of that because they don't have an answer. They don't have an answer for any of the questions that we are asking that could make that data legitimate, and they just don't want to go there. So they refuse to talk about that. And they try to discredit it and say it's baseless conspiracy theory, but it is in fact anything but. It is rooted in truth. All of our data comes from the State Department that is accessible via public record, right to know requests, and things have been analyzed by brilliant data analysts. That's what all the naysayers that we interact with on social media or otherwise want to know. What's your source? They want to just click on a link and find what it is that they think or that we're looking at. They want to just, if they can't click on the link and go to it, then it must not be real. What people don't understand is this isn't like simple math stuff. This is, you had to download voter rolls and pull the voter data from the State Department at multiple periods of time and then analyze things in different databases, not necessarily Excel spreadsheets, but serious SQL analytical tools. This requires serious analysis. This isn't just let's take a look at the voter rolls and see how many dead people voted. It's a little more complicated than that. And no, I can't just give you a link to go look it up because no media is talking about it. And all the links that I have that you can look up are to specific data analysts who I don't have permission to make their work public, their entire body of work public. But it is without a doubt out there, and it's why we're asking for an audit. So no matter what comes at us, we are not going to stop. We ended up leaving Senator Argall. We did give him multiple opportunities to at least agree. What we wanted to leave that office with on Wednesday was him agreeing verbally to making a motion for the full forensic audit for the PA 2020 election. And he would not give us his verbal agreement to that. And we did tell him that we have retained legal counsel and we are going to go that route, and perhaps lawsuits in the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania if they're not willing to move forward, and he still didn't budge. And so we left him with a affidavit that was notarized for maladministration, because we the people have petitioned our government. We are over 90,000 signatures on our petition, very close to 100,000. We have more than enough support, more than enough evidence to prove that this is necessary, and our legislators are essentially ignoring us. And so we are serving him with an affidavit of maladministration. We have specifics in our affidavit of what we want in terms of an audit, the counties that we want audited. And he has 5 days to respond, 5 business days. So that was, let's see, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday. He has till Wednesday, I guess Tuesday or Wednesday of this upcoming week to get back with us. And then we have also attached to this $1,000 a day fine if he does not honor our request. Now, obviously, I could care less about the $1,000 a day. Karen, Jamie, and I are not trying to make money off of this, anything but. We are just trying to get them moving. And so we do have legal representation that will follow up with this. I don't know if it has teeth, if it is legitimately enforceable or not, but we are definitely going to pursue it to the fullest extent we can to get them to do their job. And if this route doesn't work, we have other legal routes that we are going to go through as well, and other legal remedies to make sure that our request is granted and we get to the bottom of what the heck happened in the PA 2020 election, and all the naysayers that absolutely hate Donald Trump so much that they can't see past their hatred for this one man and realize that if this doesn't get fixed, we're done for. We're talking socialist communism FEMA camps, people, because we are not choosing our leaders. Somebody else is installing them, and that it does not maintain a constitutional republic. So we have got to get this fixed. This is for every single American citizen, specifically in Pennsylvania, every legal registered voting Pennsylvania resident. That's who we're doing this for. It has nothing to do with specific candidates. I've gotten people say, well, what about, how do you feel about us auditing all the races, not just the presidential election? Beautiful. Absolutely think we need to audit everything, because there's so much shenanigans. We have no idea who legitimately won any of the races. I personally think we need to go back to paper ballots only, not use any of the black box machines, and just redo the entire thing, because we honestly have no idea who legitimately won any of the 2020 races, including, of course, the presidential race. So that is our update thus far. We will keep you guys posted. If we don't hear back, if the legislators don't start moving, we are going to be serving a lot more of the senators with these maladministration affidavits, and we are going to have a very specific process of how our volunteers can help us with sending notices to the respective senators that we end up sending affidavits to, so that they know that everybody knows this is out there and you guys need to do something, or you're going to have a huge legal battle lawsuit on your hands. And so I do believe that things are going to start moving forward. We're seeing things in Georgia move forward, in Michigan doing the same thing, and we're collaborating with a lot of the people in the different states that have made that happen. Karen has been on the phone with Candace Taylor. She's connected with David Jose. We've been in close communication with the other patriots in those states that have made things happen and getting ideas and counsel. But I have to hand it to Karen and Jamie. They actually wrote, our affidavit is pretty impressive. I was going to share it on here on the screen share and let you guys see it, but I want to chat with them first, make sure they're okay with me making it public. It's pretty impressive. The wording is pretty impressive. They took, I think it was last weekend or 2 weekends ago, just several hours out of their day. I had nothing to do with it. I can't take any credit for the verbiage of the affidavit. They took that all on themselves and put it together, and we got it out. So we are certainly going to use them. That's what they're for. We'll keep you guys updated. Stay tuned. auditthevotepA.com. Go to the website, sign the petition, share the petition. The more signatures we have, the better. The more like minds we can connect with, the better. We're going to continue gathering signatures until not even sure when, because we just want to get as many like-minded patriots. We want to get contact information. That's why putting your email address on there is crucial, so we can get contacts information and stay in touch and start moving together as just a very well organized group of patriots that want to see justice and want to see the right things done in correcting our election system moving forward. Senate Bill HB, or no, I'm sorry, it's House Bill. House Bill HB 1300 is a disaster. It's a joke. I cannot believe that all the Republicans that are on board with it, that think this is actually a good thing to remedy our election system. It is anything but. It allows for pre-canvassing of ballots 5 days prior to election day. It allows for early voting. Yes, there's supposedly voter ID, but they still have mail-in ballots. If you are swimming in this data the way we are, and you see what has happened in Pennsylvania, mail-in ballots, no excuse mail-in ballots are without a doubt one of the biggest culprits in Pennsylvania. And unless we repeal that and we get rid of that, I don't care how much voter ID or how many different security measures they put in place, our elections are still going to be stealable. So the Republicans are apparently going to vote for this HB 3100. The Democrats are against it. I honestly hope the governor vetoes it or somehow it gets shot down in the Senate, because none of our Republican reps in the House are listening to us, that are screaming at them, telling them this is not what we wanted. We don't know where the heck you guys came up with this, but the people that you're representing don't want this. It's horrible. So I hope it gets shot down somewhere along the way. Honestly, we're better off sticking with what we have than what this new bill goes with, because the new bill is just solidifies the disaster that was 2020. So that is it for now. Look forward to more videos. I'll try to put more together this week. I know I just did one over the last week. We had a crazy busy week, but all is good. Thank you guys again for watching, and stay tuned.